Before we begin, thank you very much to Zach M. for joining the Patreon campaign. Really appreciate the support. Thank you very much for the sign up. Thank you all for completing 5 straight months of shoutouts without fail every single day. It has been absolutely insane. We've got a few more to go. Let's see. Let's see if we actually make it to July. I didn't think you'd make it this far, so at this point, I'm not really going to start doubting it. Alright, it's the first of the month, which means it's time for the monthly Q&A. We're going to be going through all the questions that I got asked during the month of June. If you have questions you want answered next time on the 1st of August, then you go ahead and leave them in the comments of this video. I will get to those a month from now. So, thank you for waiting for your answers, by the way. I'll be honest with you, it's very late at night here. This has been a day. So, you'll excuse me if I have water ready to go or take any kind of breaks. But I'm going to try to get through these as fast as possible. I'm trying to answer everyone. And then we'll make an attempt to actually make these answers as quick as possible. So let's get going here. First off, checking out Chug Optimus Primes to scale with my Siege Megatron. Do you think he should be bigger, smaller, or the same size as Megatron? If you're going for generations, I would always say same size. In the Unicron Trilogy, Prime tended to be smaller than Megatron. In the movie continuity he did, but when you're talking G1, generations, classics, etc., same size. Do I have any good Kamen Rider recommendations? You want to start watching for the first time? I generally say there's a lot of really good ones now that you can start off with. So if you want something kind of mid-ground, I usually say Kamen Rider O's is a really solid one. If you want something more light-hearted, then you've got Den-O or Forze. If you want something a little bit more serious, you might be able to go with Gaim, though it's a really weird motif you have to get through. But yeah, like pretty much just take a look at the Kamen Rider. If it looks like it's interesting to you, go for it. Go for it. There's no real bad place to start except for Saber. Don't start with Saber. And what the heck is my normal intro? My normal intro is literally just telling everybody, hello everyone. That's it. That's the joke. That's the joke, is that they are keeping me from saying 2 words, a 2-word intro, and that is not allowed. Let's see, what is your first TF toy? Honestly, I've had Transformer toys since my long-term memory kicked in. I have no idea what my first one was. That's the truth of it. I just have memories of, I just have fond memories of ones that I, stood out the most, and right now, I can't think of which one would have been the first one. What toy do you look forward to the most, but was a huge letdown? There's been a few, for modern stuff. Third-party, Trans-Art Rat Trap, I thought was a massive letdown, considering how good the other ones from that series were. And if we're talking mainline, real Transformers, Generations Blitzwing. The first Generations one they did, that was kind of G1, kind of animated, kind of a little bit of everything, but it didn't work out for me. Last Q&A, you mentioned Lost Light animated show would be great to have. If Female Swoop worked in Cyberverse, which character from the Lost Light crew would you make female to give the crew more variety? The Lost Light had quite a few female characters, if I recall. I don't think there's anyone I would particularly gender bend in order to, diversify the Lost Light crew. I mean, it had female presence on it. I don't know, I might make, what was her name, Velocity? I might make her more of a mainstay. But no, you've got, Anode and, or I might bump up the roles for, Anode and Lug. I don't think, I don't necessarily think I need to gender bend anyone to mix it up any more than it already is. You have a few questions, which means you broke the rules. 1 per person. I say it every single time. 1 per person. So I will answer. I will answer one of these. Let's see. Okay, favorite figures. I answer a lot. So characters, things you would like to see in future films. I really like them. I really liked what they did with the Maximal cast. I mean, at this point, I'd like to see them bring in Predacons. Aside from like weird Scorponok, we didn't really get any. Yeah, so I like that, and I'd like them to throw in a few more of the Maximals. You know, a Tigatron would be cool. Do you dare try to do Dinobot in live action? Do you dare? Also, yeah, good luck on your finals. I'm sure you're gonna do great. Favorite henshin device you own and still play with? I mean, it's usually the newest one, though my Desire driver right now is actually broken, so I need to buy one of those blank ones they make now. Ones that I just like to pick up and goof with from time to time. Gaia memories are always fun for that, so once in a while when I have it out, I'll mess with the double driver, and the X8. The gamer driver is also a lot of fun to break out once in a while. Now that you're past Beast Machines, are there other shows you aren't looking forward to reviewing in the queue, or ones you might add if there's demand from your patrons? I wouldn't be looking forward to the Unicron Trilogy. So Armada, obvious. Energon is boring. Boring. And then Cybertron's dub I find to be absolutely horrible. Yeah. All the bad accents, all the terrible writing. The idea that like the writers didn't know that like moments needed to be quiet for tension or dramatic impact, and they just filled it with mindless noise. That's I'm not looking forward to. Also like there's a few in there that we could add in, but like that's a general answer right now. Could you ever see the G1 Unicron Prototype getting a full special edition release? No, because no mold for that toy would exist at this point. The only thing that exists is that original proto, and they're never going to disassemble that just for the sake of making that Unicron. It's just, no matter how you slice it, it's just going to be too big to make and too expensive, and they really couldn't do anything with the mold afterwards. Yeah, I don't think you're ever going to see it. What's your opinion on Generation 2 Insignias? I mean, they're okay. I mean, it's a little spot on that they changed the Autobot symbol to look more like Optimus Prime. And then the Decepticon one is kind of the same. It's just meaner. They're not bad. They're not bad. They're just, I don't know. I'm always going to prefer the original ones. Would you like to see a Power Rangers collab with Transformers using Dinobots and new molds for black and yellow? I think you get away with just remolding or just using them. I don't necessarily think you need to make like a Mastodon and Sabertooth Tiger to go with the Dinobots. But yeah, I mean, I've said it before. I'd love to see that collab. It seems obvious in both directions. Dinobots, in Power Ranger colors, and Dinozords in Dinobot colors. Makes sense to me. Do you think anyone would be able to make a good Armada Hot Shot toy? At this point, I'm losing hope, man. I'm sure there's a third-party company out there that could do Armada Hot Shot justice. It's just, I think right now it's beyond Hasbro's budget in order to actually capably do it. Let's see. Masterpiece. I don't know what that is. Let's see. Which Predacon would you like to sing? What? Masterpiece, Beast Wars, which Predacons would you like to see? Okay, look, any really. I mean, I guess obvious first choice is Waspinator. I don't know if they'd make it. I don't know if they allow you to disassemble it in order to make it super screen accurate. That might be weird, but yeah, Waspinator is a choice. How do you think a Power Rangers and Transformer crossover would go? It's a weird one. I mean, it seems obvious because they team up with humans all the time in every fiction. They have their own giant robots, so they could stack up against Decepticons a lot better than most can. It seems like it would go well, similar to Transformers and G.I. Joe. I think they're just sitting on that idea till the day when Power Rangers isn't as viable, and then they're going to break that out to keep that franchise alive. That's my prediction there. Favorite version of RC? Well, as I record this, we're going through Transformers Prime, and it reminded me how good that version is. I think the Cyberverse one is fun as well in her own way. And yeah, they're those kind of bounce back and forth between those two as far as my favorite one. And also, you're asking more than one. I'm gonna just stop. I'm gonna be hard set on that because it isn't fair to take up more time. I ask you to do one, so everyone gets one fair shot. So I'm gonna start being like hard set about that. Do you think Optimus or Cup works better for Hot Rod, mentor, father figure? Cup is almost a grandfather figure for Hot Rod. Optimus really isn't a father figure mentor role. He exists there as like basically to put guilt on Hot Rod and like basically push him into being the leader. In that case, yeah, I guess Cup would be the obvious mentor figure there. How'd you go about doing a modern Lio Kaiser? Would you do Haslab or Legacy, and how? Honestly, I don't think it could be done at normal retail prices. I think at this point Haslab would be the option, not only because it's something that most fans at retail wouldn't really care about, but also there's a lot of differences. So like you couldn't do it in Legacy as like you could like Devastator and Predaking. You couldn't do it that way because it's 6 individual bots with different color schemes and different requirements on each mold. Whereas the fact that they got to use the unified colors actually is what kept the cost of those down and allowed those to happen. Also, we haven't seen a Combiner Titan in a long time, so I don't think that's viable anymore. No, I'd rather do Haslab to make it as good as it can be. Are there any existing Transformer characters in the franchise that could have similar traits to autism, ADHD? Also, do you think the franchise would ever make new neurodivergent characters? If we were still in the IDW phase, I would say yes. Unfortunately, now this new comic book company seems like it's going to be very hard set in G1 cartoon canon, so that's probably not going to happen. Unfortunately, I will admit I'm not very up on my like autistic traits. Thinking back to Transformers offhand, I can't really put my finger on one that I would say would have those traits. Honestly, that is something that can be better left to a writer. I mean, either for the new comics, or if they branch out, or potentially in Earthspark. I feel like that could be something you could see. Favorite G1 mini bots? I mean, probably like if we're talking like toys, probably Powerglide. I always loved how like articulate he was for his tiny little size. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going Powerglide on that one. How would you feel if they gender swap Ratchet in newer fiction? It'd be a weird choice. It'd be a really weird choice. Ironically, it would bring him all the way back to the Nurse Ratchet concept where he originally got his idea. And yes, Ratchet was originally supposed to be female, and then Hasbro nixed that. So there is history to that. There is actual history to making Ratchet female. At this point, I think it wouldn't work. Ratchet works best as this codgy old-timer who's just kind of sick of it, but he still cares about patients, etc. Yeah, so I'd feel very weird if they went that route, especially because they could probably just bring in Minerva, and fill that slot if they needed to. With somewhat positive reception Legacy Menasor received, do you think more retail released combiners should take the skeleton approach? That is difficult because none of the others out there would really require it or have the appropriate bulk for it. We get away with that for Menasor because Motormaster has the trailer, but you don't really have that convenience with anybody else. Potentially Onslaught if you want to do Combaticons that way, but yeah, like redistributing the bulk for any of the others. You couldn't do it with Silverbolt. You couldn't do it with Scattershot. You know, their entire bulk is their vehicle mode. They don't have spare bulk. So it'd be difficult. It'd be difficult. Maybe you get away with it on like Hotspot and the Protectobots. That I think would be a push though. It'd be tricky. It'd be really tricky. Given the many spoofs on the robots in disguise over the decades, what's your favorite parodical use of the Transformers? Robot Chicken did a bunch, and they brought in and like I liked the times when like Family Guy did one where they brought in Frank Welker to do the line, and I genuinely don't like Family Guy, but I liked that bit. Honestly, my favorite parody, my favorite spoof on Transformers, is in an anime out of Japan. Obviously, it's an anime. I don't know why I said that. It's a very adult-oriented comedy anime. That's if you know what I'm talking about, I will confirm it by saying they just announced a second season or a new project for it is on the way, which is long overdue and very eagerly anticipated. If you know your anime, that should put enough of it together. But like that's my favorite one. I'm not mentioning the name. I asked no one to mention the name in the comments because of, hey, my PG. You thought that there was a Transformer series where Megatron and Galvatron were split personalities like Two-Face and Batman instead of Galvatron being just a recolored upgrade of Megatron. And each personality had its own alt mode. So, same robot, twisted personality, and then they have like preference in alt mode. So like Megatron would be like Megatron gets the tank, Galvatron gets the jet, something like that. I mean, it'd definitely be a different twist on it. I definitely prefer them being different characters. I feel like this would be better served as an idea if it was just Galvatron and it was the old Megatron trying to peek out from like the Unicron brainwashing once in a while. That's how I would do it. I mean, it's just it's an odd scenario. It's an odd scenario, but it's definitely a unique one. Do you think lemon cars would work as Earth modes for the Junkions? Probably. I mean, better than mostly motorcycles. One thing I like about Legacy Evolutions, we're getting so many different styles of Junkions, finally. They'd work. Junker cars would work. I love the idea of there's ideas for Junker car Transformers that have been in my head for a long time. I'd like to see it. Since it was brought up with Megatron, what Pokemon would Soundwave be? Noivern, Exploud, Audino, or Maractus? That's tricky. I definitely think it would probably closer to Noivern. If we're going with the sound theme, or if we're going with a sound theme, you could potentially throw in Komao as well. But yeah, Exploud is a little bit too blatant, a little bit too boisterous for Soundwave. He's actually quieter. I feel like Noivern's the right one because I mean I got that card where he's descending into the city like Batman in my head, so I'm thinking like Soundwave is like a stealth character. That was what would work. Do you think some of the movie characters such as Bulkhead, Blackout, Shatter, Dropkick B should be used in a TV show? Yeah. I mean, Shatter and Dropkick I think would be a great duo to throw in. Bone Crusher, I've talked about how much I like that design. I'd really like to see him as a Decepticon bruiser. Yeah, like, it is weird how few of the movie designs have leaked back into the original, like, standard Transformer design. What's your thoughts on AI voices, and do you think it could change the future of voice acting music forever? I do unfortunately think that there's going to be a lot of people cheaping out and using that for their productions once it gets cleaner. Overall, I despise it. I absolutely despise it. I'm angry even reading it in this comment. That's how much I hate it, because it's such a spit in the face of all the actors that are having their voices impersonated. You know, you're basically robbing them of their livelihoods that they've trained their entire life to have. Also, they're not AIs. They're not artificial intelligences. That's not what an AI is. It's a plagiarism engine. But that doesn't sound good. So you call it an AI and pretend it's revolutionary. No, it's a copy-paste bot. Ugh. No AIs. No AIs. Really, I had a video in mind. Where I was going to do I was going to use a Peter Cullen text to speech to make Optimus Prime say silly things, and that's when the whole AI thing started getting really controversial in what they were doing with it. So I scrapped the whole thing out of respect for the actor. No AI. What do you think of most mainstream Transformers stories revolve around them fighting over MacGuffins? What do you think Energon was? Energon's Matrix of Leadership, Golden Discs. Ironically, I think that one of the very few shows in Transformers and one of the few fictions that didn't revolve around a MacGuffin of some point was Beast Machines. Even in Robots in Disguise 2001, you had O parts for Fortress Maximus. In Prime, you had Predacon bones, and there's always a MacGuffin. That's literally how it's worked ever since episode 1. With the deletion question, politically, it's a flip coin between the twins and Nightshade. Me and Mahara would say Jawbreaker. I have no idea it's been a month. I have no idea what this is. Politically, it's a coin flip between the twins and Nightshade to delete a character. That's how I delete you for asking a very insensitive question. Once again, nothing wrong with Nightshade. If you carry that opinion, get out. If Vile from Mega Man X was somehow transformed into a Beast Machine's Viacon General. Vile from Mega Man X as a transform... Wow. Okay. This is inspired by the clever Jetstorm twisting your Beast Machine's rewrite. So, a cross-universal character actually slips in, and now he's in there. Okay. That's the thing. It's Vile. I feel like he would be a motorcycle drone piloting a tank drone. That's kind of where the right. I don't think he would. I think he would retain the whole I like being in the big suit thing. Will Studio Series Gamer Edition War for Cyberman Barricade be future Plastic Addict victim? I have no idea. I've heard that it didn't turn out great. I have yet to get mine in hand, so I'll let you know. But as it is, it's very hard for a modern toy to end up on Plastic Addict because it has to do a lot of things wrong. Opinion on IDW 1.0 Riptide. I'll be honest, I don't remember Riptide doing all that much for me, so I'm blanking on that one right now. See, here's one for this month. What are your thoughts on actual wasps, seeing as you like Waspinator so much? I mean, actual wasps are jerks. Bees carry pollen and make honey. Wasps just ruin my picnic. Yeah, so cool look, but not a fan. See, thank you for making me feel old. With YouTube Shorts being a thing, would you ever consider reviving rushed reviews in the Shorts format? I've thought about it, but honestly, with the daily content schedule, the day job at the toy shop, and all the other things I've got going on throughout the week, I just don't have time to write the poems. I don't have time to do it. It's weird to think that, oh, you don't have time to make a 30-second video. No, not when it takes hours to come up with a rhyme, a 30-second rhyme that gets an entire toy covered. And I feel like sometimes it does a toy injustice, because they're a lot more complicated than they used to be. Why is it so easy to bully Scold? I don't know. Do you really have that kind of bullying in your heart? Scold's a good person with just has the wrong ideas. Scold's fine. Would you ever do a video talking about all the beast mode transformers I've either barely touched or have never used at all? Did I not do this at some point? I feel like I've done something like animals that have never been Beast Wars toys or never been Transformers. Surely I've done something like that at some point. I mean, it's over 600 days with straight videos, so maybe I'm just remembering something I thought of doing and then never did. But yeah, that might be something. I'm basically just listing off animals, and like, there's just like tangentially related to Transformers. What's your opinion? Post Megaforce PW series is most watched. I followed Power Rangers then, but don't know. Post Megaforce Power Rangers, I assume you meant. Honestly, I have not watched Power Rangers in a long time. Last series I actually genuinely watched was RPM. Beyond that, a few little bits of Dino Fury, because they did some cool things, but that's about it. Okay, we have someone who saw me pop into the Atop the Fourth Wall live stream over on Linkara's channel. Yeah, I popped in because he was doing the Lord Vice storyline, and I knew the segment featuring the prop I made would come up, so I just kind of wanted to be there for it. I guess that I honestly, like, that's probably still my favorite storyline because I got to contribute a little bit to it. But I honestly, like, I have not followed Linkara in a long time. I pop in once in a while to just check in on him, but I've not paid attention enough to say, like, storylines. Okay, lots of comments. Lots of comments. Thoughts on 3H Productions in general, and opinion on how it looked that they kept hosting the TF convention after 2004 with their storylines. They had some weird concepts for their story sometime. At some point, I need to go do a video specifically about everything 3H pulled for Transformers. I do kind of like how their intention behind a lot of their stuff was to expand the fiction rather than just like alter and edit G1 into or Beast Wars into their own fiction, which is a lot of fun pub stuff, you know. Let's redo Generation 2. Let's redo Machine Wars, Okay. You're not really coming up with anything new anymore. But yeah, I like that they were just adding to it. I like they were just creating new stuff. Let's see. Would you like a Transformers Cross Kamen Rider line where the Rider Belts transforms into the character and upgrade gimmicks transform into armor that you can place onto the figure? That feels like it gets a little bit complicated. Honestly, if they do a Transformer X Kamen Rider line, I'd rather the belt just stick with the Rider to let them do a thing, and like let the Transformers be the bikes. I think that, or in the vehicles in general. I think that would be the better direction to go, rather than like saying, well, the belt has to be the Transformer and the gimmicks have to be armor. I think it's a little bit much then. See, what Transformers with no toys do you want toys of with the most, or think need toys the most? At this point, I feel like it's only fair to do a Botanica of some kind, even if it's a real stretch of one. I think it's long overdue, considering she's literally the only main character in a series that didn't get any kind of toy fiction toy depiction whatsoever. Beyond that, I'd really have to start thinking about it, because honestly, they've almost all been covered at this point. You mentioned comic-only characters. We can go into that. I'd love an Anode and Lug 2-pack. Lug just has to turn into a backpack. Anode gets to turn into a cool plane. That seems doable. What combiner team do you think is the most one-note / bland? For you, it's the Stunticons. That's actually not a bad bet. The only real standout from the Stunticons is Dead End, and that's just because he's so depressing. Honestly, like, it's either that or the Protectobots. I don't really know. I don't know anyone from the Protectobots that really stands out outside of maybe First Aid, and that really just feels like Ratchet light. Yeah, I'm going Protectobots personally. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely do you think Hasbro could dip into the old Legends novel, Paddles, I see so many people that kind of want a Paddles, but it would never work at retail, I don't think. But honestly, like, we're about to get, like, Senator Shockwave from before he was modified to be the Cyclops we know him as. So Hasbro's willing to do just about anything these days. So I'm not putting anything off the table anymore. Do you think Did you ever come up with alternate names for the figure repaints like Hasbro Shadow Strip for G2 Drag Strip? No, I have not. I got that idea suggested to me, but I don't think it was an actual video request. If you subbed at 15, would you do a video with several of them with a toy card level bio? Big ask, but I do say that at 15 you can ask me for any video you want as long as it fits in with what I do. So yeah. If you want to pitch in that much, you get that video. What's your opinion on human villains like the rogues from animated Mecha Mandroid? I do like the idea that humans can be threats to Transformers given the right tech or the right opportunity. It is a little bit weird that a small squishy human has a way of fending off full-grown Transformers, especially like groups of them, but it does force them to be creative in order to do that, so you don't just have Decepticons as villains. And I feel like Earthspark is heading toward a really, really good one with Ghost. I think that's going to be a really good payoff. With the introduction to the Mercenary Faction in the War for Cybertron Trilogy, who do you think could be added to it that hasn't already been used? Detritus is an obvious one. He's already a mercenary character. Like that one feels the most blatant. If I'm thinking to like who personality-wise would fit, I'm trying to mull this over my head. Man, that's actually like that's tough. Like it's hard to think of ones that are so like very loosely rooted in Autobot or Decepticon to the point where I can move into like a neutral, we're just in it for ourselves faction. Honestly, nothing's coming to mind, which might be the fact that it's like super late right now. I think I'm just gonna go with I'm just gonna go with that for my answer. Let's see. What's the bathroom situation on Cybertron? I don't know. There's implications that I don't like. I assume everyone gets to like release excess fuel wherever they want. You know, I don't. I think the bathrooms are fine. What truly oddball out of genre media Transformer might be interesting? Transformers Monty Python. Like again, like this is one where I don't really put anything off the table anymore, and that's because of IDW. I mean, I don't know. Like Doctor Who might be fun. I mean, that's two really long-running franchises, though Doctor Who's been running a lot longer than Transformers. But, you know, aliens from another planet come to protect Earth. That sounds kind of familiar. Let's go with that one for now. If only so we can see, like, a TARDIS that transforms. Thoughts on Prime? Yeah, no respect, not a fan. Don't bring him up again. What creatures are you surprised they didn't make it? Wow, okay, we answered this one before. Your answer is a hippopotamus. Hippo's pretty good. Is one that we never got. The thing is about hippos is it's not as well known how aggressive they are. I think people just see like National Geographic footage of them just like lounging around in the mud or in the lake, and they go, "Oh, no, it's like the animal that's most likely to kill you." In a Transformers series, what if the characters got design changed over the series? Like, wow, you're spell check, man. Optimus is staying with the G1 visual and going with the appearance of Cybertron. Good design change over the series, like Optimus starting with G1 visual and then appearing like Transformers Prime or Cybertron at the end. I mean, I'm fine with that. And we've done things like that before. Transformers Prime does start with, you know, a sleek down Optimus Prime and ends with a super buff one. I mean, that's not a bad way of keeping characters in toy lines and keeping them fresh. Let's see. Every time you change outfit, it has to be done Super Sentai style, or every time you have to drive somewhere, you have to summon your vehicle Super Sentai style. I mean, here's the thing, changing my outfit Super Sentai style, I mean, do you mean that I would actually have to morph in order to change clothes? Because when I think changing clothes Super Sentai style, I'm thinking of like the tradition of Pink Rangers have, or like no, Big One. I'm thinking like Big One style, where like I'm in a full outfit and then I just go whew, and then I'm like in my like normal duds. That's what I'm thinking. And I don't even throw the clothes around; they just vanish. That's what I think. That's what I think of. So yeah, change clothes. 89 Batmobile, Turtle, Party Wagon, Samus Aran, Gunship, or something totally respective. Which would you like to see as collaborative Transformer next the most? All of the above. All of the above. Definitely the Party Wagon. And frankly, considering they did Power Ranger Ninja Turtle crossover toys, I have no idea why they didn't. I have no idea why that hasn't happened. Like that's baffling to me that there is no Party Wagon Transformer right now. Have you ever watched any seasons from the Pretty Cure franchise? I think I tried watching a little bit of Heart Catch when it was getting subbed by TV Nihon, but I couldn't stick with it. I think unless you're doing some kind of crazy Madoka Magica nonsense, I don't think the magical girl genre is a thing for me. See, though I did watch through some of Sailor Moon Crystal and I liked it. What do you think was / is biggest missed opportunity for a remold / repaint that Hastech didn't do? I've answered this on a previous Q&A, but I will answer this anytime I get the chance to. Transmetal Waspinator as Starscream. Not only does it actually work because it has a jet mode, but it also plays into the actual Possession episode from Season 1 of Beast Wars. It's a very obvious thing. And hey, Starscream actually appears in the Beast Wars fighting game as a recolor of Transmetal Waspinator. It's like there's precedent for it. They could do it in the new Gamer Edition for all I know. See, best line for a new collector getting into collecting Transformers right now. Budget isn't an issue. If budget isn't an issue? For a new collector, honestly, like, I genuinely think that we're getting some of the best toys we've ever gotten right now as far as engineering and variety goes. If I'm going to point you toward one that is like really fun to just collect and play, obviously Cybertron is going to come up, but there's a lot I could throw at you. Animated is an amazing toy line. Like some of the classics in like the early Universe 2.0 stuff are fantastic toys. If I'm throwing you anything, I would probably throw you animated. Let's see. Do you think Team Bullet Train from RID-01 or Maximus Combiner teams from Energon are popular enough to get new toys in Legacy? The Maximus Combiners, I don't think so. I don't think that there's such a minor note. And if we talked about combiner teams that are just nothing character-wise. They are genuinely nothing. They literally only exist as their combined robot. And there's very, very little beyond that. The Team Bullet Train, no. Hasbro has gone on record that they never want to do those again. There's a reason we don't get Bullet Train or Train Transformers in general anymore. They're just not popular in America. Kids in America don't really care about trains the way kids in Japan do. Most kids in America don't know what a bullet train is because it's just not part of our culture. Do you like polar bears? Yes. See, not a question. See, yeah, I have to skip by those because this is taking a long time. What would your choice for a Studio Series Titan class, aka 86 movie live action gamer only line? Autobot City. For anyone who's seen the custom, there's a custom out there where someone took two, it was either like two Metroplexes or a Fortress Maximus and Metroplex, and repainted both of them into like the orange colors of Autobot City from the 86 movie, and then like found a way of combining them in their city modes, in their base modes, to actually look like Autobot City. It's an incredible custom. One of like probably the best custom I've ever seen. And I want it as a toy. I want an Autobot City figure as a Titan. See, just like the Combiner War Bruticus, like second go around. Like we said, Bruticus I think might be the only one they can get away with the same way they did Menasor. So maybe. I don't mind that Combiner though. I thought that was one of the better ones out of Titan's Return or Combiner Wars. So do you think the Prime Arachnid needs to be redone within Legacy? Yeah, because Arachnid is a really cool character, and she just has this unfortunate fact of, her toy is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Yeah, I would be absolutely down for like a Voyager Class 1 to try it again. Should Kamen Rider Complete Selection Modification prioritize voice lines, or is it okay if it doesn't have it? I do think the voice lines add a lot. Keep in mind, since most of us in America buying Kamen Rider toys do not speak Japanese, that can seem like a waste of space when you could put in like music or added sound effects. But they generally do that too. And for the toys in Japan, those voiced clips mean the world. And even the ones I recognize from the complete selections I have are really cool and really important. So, yeah, I think the voice lines are fine. I don't see a problem. Regarding videos in comparison to every other TF toy YouTuber, you seem to regard the budget as an ever-shrinking epidemic that goes down by the day while no one else seems to be aware of it. What up with that? Because it is. Because it absolutely is. So understand, like, I am holding a Core Class RC that fits comfortably in the palm of my hand. I could almost completely hide her just by balling up my fist. If she was in bike mode, I could completely cover her with just one hand. That's a $10 toy. Whereas $10 used to be a fully painted, fully articulated deluxe with gimmicks. Understand. Like, we've seen when I say when I tell you about the budget shrinking, I am paying attention to things like, a lot more parts are now hollowed out. Figures are smaller and lighter than they used to be. They are far less painted than they used to be. Their wheels are now mushroom pegged in instead of pinned or screwed in. There's tons of details like that taken out. And keep in mind, we used to get launching missiles in literally every figure. That went away completely too because they couldn't afford the engineering anymore. And despite the price constantly going up, we can see the toy's quality keeps going down gradually, bit by bit. If you saw the Cybertron Starscream review I just did, I went on and on about how well painted that toy was. There's paint all over that figure compared to like a modern day figure where, there's just bits, hits of paint here where it's necessary and they call it a day. It's a big difference. There's a lot of big differences. But yeah, just, and I mean, we've known straight from the Hasbro and their designers, the budget isn't what it used to be. And the budget changes all the time. So that's how inflation works, unfortunately. Would the Death Star from Star Wars be a good alt mode for Unicron? I mean, they're both big balls. It's pretty easy. See, if Hasbro overlords reached out with an enticing Transformers-related job offer that required you to move to Pawtucket, Rhode Island, what would you do? I mean, much as I love the toy store, like working for the source, working for Hasbro would be far better pay than I'm making now. I'd be working directly with the brand I love the most. And it'd just be better security. And that's more money I could provide for my family too. So no. That's I love this area. I love my friends here. I love my job. But I could get so far if I had that opportunity. See. Any character you feel are constantly given figures that are too small or big? I mean, constantly given is a thing. I feel like if characters are constantly given figures, then they're always going to hit the size that you want eventually. You can get Starscreams anywhere from Legends class all the way up to Supreme, Leader, what have you. There's, I mean, if figures get, but like figures that are like frequently out of size, frequently missized, I honestly think they do a pretty good job of like picking who goes where. I'd like to see a larger Ironhide. We got a Voyager Ironhide, but he's kind of just like a complicated and large deluxe. I'd like him to be a little bit bigger than that. I'd like him to be closer to prime size. Do you think any two evil Megatrons would get along? No, because the thing that's true of any evil Megatron is that they are all power hungry in one way or another. If they can't suffer Starscream, they're really not going to be able to suffer another Megatron right beside them. In your opinion, what is the best episode of the worst Transformers cartoon? The worst episode of the best Transformers cartoon. The worst episode of the best Transformers cartoon is Go With The Flow from Beast Wars. That show, that was a complete waste of time filler with some really dumb writing, and it took the place of a far better episode we could have gotten instead. Best episode of the worst Transformers cartoon. Thing is, there's a few shows that I haven't seen all the way through, so I don't even know if I've seen the best episode of the worst Transformers cartoon. I mean, because I just reviewed it, like, I was trying to think of episodes like Beast Machines, which isn't really a great one. I can't think of, like, an exceptional episode out of that series. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm kind of blanking right now. You'll excuse me. Once again, it's late. But also, yeah, like, I'm just trying to remember, like, bad Transformers series. I would say, like, if I'm judging off of, like, overall bad, like, people rag on Energon for how boring it is. Super Link wasn't it was a little bit better, but not by much. And the best episode of Super Link is that one crazy one where they're all in the arena and all the weird stuff is happening. Multiple versions of characters appearing. Multiple versions of Optimus competing in the tournament. A Unicron the size of like 2 deluxe Transformers. That was an incredibly crazy and fun episode, and something that you never see them get away with now. How would you integrate the GoBots into the main line? Seems long past due at this point. Well, we've kind of gone on before about how it's impossible for them to properly use GoBots. Honestly, like, I think you're best sticking them as individual factions. I would honestly, like, faction them off 5 by 5 and just pick your favorite 5 Guardians, pick your favorite 5 Renegades, and just make that like a Dinobot style subgroup. No need to combine. They're just kind of like a special mission force for both sides. I wouldn't go like full integration. I think best keeping like to a small group of GoBots in that one. Alright, if Hasbro made 6-inch Kamen Riders toys in style of Lightning Collection, Marvel Collection, would you want them to contain Build-A-Figure parts? Potentially. Potentially. It depends on what the Build-A-Figure is. Because, like, for O's, you could get away with all the combos. You could get away with the main greeds. So your Build-A-Figure pieces, for me, would probably be the AG greed. And that would be just, like, one example. And then, like, if you're doing Build-A-Figure with the villains and the 5 greed there, 6 if you count the complete Ankh, then yeah, your Build-A-Figure is going to be the AG greed. And then if you're doing all the O's combo forms, then the Build-A-Figure is Burakawani. Build-A-Figures are always ones that are nice to complete a collection, but like, you wouldn't go out of your way for it if it was sold on its own. So, like, that's kind of where I fall right there. Some of those old Armada brick toys don't get high regard. Do you think I'm insane and should be ashamed for having a somewhat genuine fondness for those old brick Armada toys and liking them for what they are, which were solid, simple toys with fun gimmicks for kids? No, absolutely not. Here's the thing. It's all opinion. That's it. My opinion is 100% right because it's my opinion. Your opinion is 100% right because it's your opinion. Everyone is free to enjoy Transformers however they want. So if you like those gimmick toys, all the power to you. Enjoy them. Don't feel ashamed. That's just your thing, right? Nothing wrong with it. Someone dropped the G2 wrap in here. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Got a D&D question. Keep in mind you've never actually played before. Watch TJOmega and watch some of the streams of Gob the Goblin. Oh, that would be scheduled conflicts every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern over at Gob the Goblin's Twitch channel, where I am playing an Eladrin Elf Wizard. Thank you very much. Alright, so, if I wanted to make a bard who happens to have DID, Dissociative Identity Disorders, think animated Blitzwinger, Cyberverse, Grimlock, how would I go about that? So, in Dungeons & Dragons, your character itself is pretty much your own choice. Like, if you want them to kind of have a split personality, you just work it out with the DM and say, hey, I kind of have this idea. And he'll try and work it into his story and try to make sense of it in how their world works. I've seen multiple personality characters in D&D. And sometimes they tie it into a race that makes sense, like a shape changer. Or a shapeshifter, I'm sorry. And sometimes it's just a character quirk. You know, but that's just your choice. The fun thing about D&D is you're basically free to play whatever character sounds fun to you. And if that's how you want to play, that's absolutely possible. Do you prefer drivers that come close to nothing and just acts as a method to trigger the gimmick of the year, or vice versa? Drivers that have a certain but limited amount of content stored in a gimmick of the year need to trigger it. I like the mix. I don't like when I can just fiddle around with a bunch of switches and get all the noises out of a belt, so I don't like things that are like completely contained within the belt. But it is also weird when the belt is expensive and literally doesn't do anything outside of just hold the gimmick toy. The gamer driver's like that. There's no electronics in it, but it still costs the same like 6,500 yen all the other belts did back then, even though it just had, gashats in it. So, yeah, I prefer a mix. I prefer the mix. My least favorite Transmetal toy. I didn't get every Transmetal, I don't think. So, hard to say, like, off the top of my head. If we're talking Transmetal 2, Scourge comes to mind. I thought it was overly colorful, and I think they're so over-detailed that everything gets lost in the mix. I think it's a very sloppy-looking figure. If Transmetal 2's count, we're probably going to go with that. How would your D&D characters react while seeing a giant talking purple T-Rex transform from an organic dinosaur form to a mechanical humanoid robot form for the first time? My ranger is kind of a forest boy. He would probably freak out at the sight. My turtle barbarian would probably just be eager to fight something that was way better than a T-Rex that he was expecting to fight. My wizard Tora, definite intrigue. Definite intrigue. He'd probably be taking more notes about how Megatron did that than he would be considering, like, battling. Yeah, he'd just be fascinated with how Megatron worked. Were you happy to see the Enterprise D make a return? I didn't watch Picard. Because I don't like nostalgia projects where, like, everyone's in their 80s. I know that you dedicated a month of May this year for Beast Machines. Will you consider to dedicate a month in May next year to how you have done the show's episodes? I kind of covered that already. I don't want to do an episode-to-episode rewrite of Beast Machines. I don't want to come up with the entire storyline. I don't want to come up with the entire plot. I gave you a rundown of how I would do the show. As far as I'm concerned, I am completely done with that concept. Favorite design for Optimus Primal? Probably the original. Probably the original. There's a few weird elements to the Transmetal. I like the overall look of the Transmetal, but there's some weird things to it. I never liked how his legs were just like stilts with paddles on the bottom. That always looked kind of weird to me. Things like that. But yeah, I still kind of think the original had like kind of like the best balance of its parts. Which Transformer do you think has the best black repaint? Sound Blaster, Nemesis Prime, High Octane Bumblebee. The Cyberfire Bumblebee is really, really good, but that's still as much yellow as it is black. Black repaints tend to look really good on just about anyone. I can't really think of anyone offhand. I will say there have been some black repaints that just made me go, ooh, ah, shiny. And one of them was like, when I was at BotCon, someone had and showed me the all black and gold Optimus Prime from Revenge of the Fallen. That thing is marvelous. That thing is gorgeous looking. Thoughts on IDW Chrome Dome? Really liked IDW Chrome Dome. He's a tortured soul. That has a really hard time facing his past, to the point where he wipes his own memories to avoid facing his own past. He's a heavily traumatized character, and he's a character that uses his current love to kind of fix him. And it's a nice story to tell, to see his history and to know that his relationship with Rewind is kind of what is so much stronger than the other ones he had, that not only was he unwilling to delete Rewind from his mind like he did all of his past lovers, but it was reuniting with Rewind that started to heal him from that too. I think they told a really good story. Oh, you bring puns in here. Okay. See, given the controversy surrounding Legacy RC and Evolution Shadow Striker being only a head and deco swap away from becoming other characters, at what point is a pre-tool a bad decision for a figure? So I'll give you the hint. Pre-tools are a trap. They are a trap. They are to get, like, people will buy Shadow Striker the same reason they bought RC, because it's the first chance to get a hold of a brand new toy. We know better versions are coming out later, right? I think everyone knew RC was eventually going to be Road Rocket. It's likewise, obviously Shadow Striker is eventually going to be Sideburn, and everyone's going to be waiting for that version. But it's a good idea to go the direction they did, because it allows them to get all the people who want to be the first ones to get a hold of the new toy. They get that out of the way for what is ultimately going to be the least desired version of that mold, and then later on they get them again by releasing the more popular, the more anticipated version of the mold. Yes, they're going to hit some controversial ones from time to time, but overall, there is some credentials. There is a strategy to it, and I have to admit, like, it's an actual workable and correct strategy. See, villainous ambulance. How about making him a robot lawyer? No, the lawyer chases the ambulance. He is not the ambulance himself. You've been charged with making a buddy cop movie with a seasoned Autobot and a Decepticon turned Autobot. Cannot be Megatron or Thundercracker. Which characters do you pick and why? Seasoned Autobot. I mean, if we're doing buddy cop, I think it has to be Prowl, right? It has to be Prowl. If I can turn any Decepticon, the funny one would be Barricade, because he is a cop car. And if he ever did turn sides, it'd be funny to see him actually try to play the cop that he's pretending to be. Or you can even work that into, like, the reason why he turned, because he just started seeing what police officers did and just started, like, changing his mind about things. But that's a big departure in character for Barricade. That's just the first thought that leaps to my mind. Beyond that, like it's beyond that. Again, it's hard to pick a turncoat out of them that fits that situation correctly. Let's see, with Mirage apparently taking up more major role in Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast, do you think we'll start to see more obscure characters start to get the spotlight? I mean, Mirage does get a bigger part than Bumblebee, but I will point out how many Bumblebee toys are on the market right now compared to how many Mirage toys. Because guess what? There is exactly one Mirage toy out there right now. Yeah, I believe it's the Battle Changer. It's the simple Transformer one. The mainline one is in distribution limbo, along with most of the rest of that line. And then the Studio Series just got announced. And that's pretty much what they've done with Mirage, who is kind of the main Autobot of that movie. Meanwhile, Bumblebee has toys across every size class. They invented size classes to make new Bumblebees. He's the Mask. He's all over the place. So I think we're going to get Mirage as like our main focus for the next few movies. And Bumblebee is just going to kind of be like there. Favorite version of Megatron besides Beast Wars? Animated. Animated Megatron is genuinely very scary. Which very like almost as calculating as Beast Wars Megatron, but I think more menacing in overall, just like in overall like presence. Let's see. Considering how Mandroid is going and how I feel like he's the new wave of pretenders. Which pretenders do you think are going to show up as creations from Ghost? If they go Pretender, that's going to be super weird, but you know, I feel like if they're going Pretender, it's probably going to end up being your typical ones from Decepticons, your bomb bursts, your octo punches, that type of thing. I don't think they're going Pretender. I think Mandroid is eventually just going to be a Frankenstein of different Transformer parts until he really is nothing but Cybertronian. Off the top of my head, what are 5 favorite Power Ranger theme songs? Oh my god, off the top of my head. I mean, the original, of course. I like, strangely enough, I really like Zeo's theme. So that's an oddball one to pick, I know. Dino Thunder's not bad. God, I am blanking right now. Like Power Rangers had some bops. Power Rangers had some really like solid themes. I mean, it's when you're still in like that early Saban era, I'm not sure there is a bad theme song. I liked a lot of those. Some of these questions did not deserve to be answered. LMAO. They asked the question, so this they did. Go away. If a line of articulated 1/18 or 1/12 scale figures of humans and humanoid Transformers, who would you include in the first wave? I would definitely mix it up. If we're getting human characters, as like G.I. Joe or like G.I. Joe scale characters here, let's see, or 1/12. So that'd be like that'd be Marvel Legend. Whew. I think you have to do Spike Witwicky from the original series. I think that has to be. I think he has to be Wave 1. I think you have to do someone from the current Earthspark cast, the current show too. So, I might just make it. Actually, probably Robbie and Mo, because they're both too small for a single figure. Who else? Who else? I would throw something left field. Like I wouldn't like go straight to the mains in any series. I'd do like one main per wave. You know, so like wave 1, I'd probably throw in like Miko from Prime, and then I'd wait till like wave 3 to do Jack. You know, things like that. What are your top repaints throughout Transformers? You know what? You were rude to the rest of the people who answered, so I'm not answering who asked questions, so I'm not answering your question. If you had to give an elevator pitch for 2 completely new factions that oppose each other but do not fall in with the Autobot, Decepticon, Maxwell, Predacon paradigm, what would they be and why? That's hard. That's hard. Something that isn't represented in them that I always like as warring factions is order and chaos. So, very law of the jungle, survival of the fittest type faction versus like pure lawful good. Pure lawful good. Because it plays with the rules a little bit. Like if you have like the ones dedicated strictly to order can also pull off villainous things if it means protecting what they consider order. So it is not automatically a faction that would side with the Autobots. Meanwhile, the Chaos side is pure chaos. So there's nothing that Autobot or Decepticon would want to do with them. So both of these factions would potentially be a threat to both Autobot and Decepticon, or Maximal and Predacon. So I kind of like that. I kind of like that one. Also, the idea of like chaos aligned Transformers getting like really weird, crazy alt modes sounds really fun. See, a new Transformers fighting game is announced. You're put in charge of deciding some of the roster. You decide to go full Sakurai and add a weird character. Who are you picking? I mean, if I get to design a Transformers fighting game and I get to throw in just a completely random character, a weird one, oh, that's actually good. It's actually good. There's two thoughts in my mind as far as like super weird ones we could do. Number one is, I feel like if you're doing a modern Transformer fighting game, you have to homage the original Transformers fighting game, and you throw in Star Upper, the kickboxing kangaroo that just cameoed in Beast Wars Neo, but was in the manga thanks to the kid who designed them for the contest. Yeah, and Star Upper is just fun. If we want really weird, like super weird, I might throw in a Beast Wars mutant. I might throw in like Razor Claw, who could like fight in Raptor mode, or I might throw in like Ice Bird, who fights in Polar Bear mode and has like Owl mode special abilities. That's like, if we're going like super weird, that's kind of what I would do. Which Transformers from the live action movies have become the de facto designs in future media, i.e. movie Barricade over G1. Well, I mean, when you talk Barricade and Blackout from G1, like, they're really just, like, names at that point. The movie characters are absolutely nothing like them. They just happen to share names. I mean, Bumblebee's already done it. The movie depiction of Bumblebee is the dominant Bumblebee now. It's just kind of been merged with G1 a little bit. If we're thinking, like, overall designs, man, I mean, for starters, I don't really like a lot of the movie designs to begin with. I think most of the ones that they come up with are inferior to the previous ones. Yeah, I'm genuinely at a loss here. Yeah, like, I really can't think of any. I honestly, like, yeah, like, Barricade and Blackout really are the only ones, and that's because the G1 versions are so minor, it's not even worth it. I don't know. Now, you're asking someone who doesn't like movie aesthetics. How about a Transformers and Idolmaster crossover line? So it'd be called Transformers the Idolmasters. I don't know what Idolmasters are. I cannot answer. Hello, Halo. Welcome. Do you think Hasbro should update Astro Train's train mode to be more modern, or should they pull a Cyberverse and have him be a shuttle? We already did that. Classics Astro Train was a bullet train. I mean, that's the modern update. I don't think you do, because the old school trains that Astro Train transforms into are way cooler looking than the modern ones that are sleeked down and made for aerodynamics and like bullet trains and all that. The big heavy machine's just better to look at. It makes for a cooler vehicle. I don't think you just make him a shuttle, though. That seems like the easy way out for Astro Train. All right. Will we get a Transformers G1 cartoon or comic that fills in the 20-year timeline gap between season 2 and the 86 movie? We get little bits of things like that. Transformers Devastation, the video game, takes place in between 86 and season 2. I would like that, but at the same time, you're talking about like that mid area where like you couldn't write a story that was compelling. Because you could write a story to fill the gap, certainly, but you couldn't write a compelling story because you can't go like, I wonder if Optimus Prime will survive this encounter with Megatron. You know, I sure hope Spike and Carly get together. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. I don't think we're ever going to, just because I don't think there's a worthy story of telling in that gap. I think it's literally just Optimus stops Megatron from plundering Earth for 20 years, and then the Battle of Autobot City happens. What's been your favorite Parts Former Weaponizer gimmick? Honestly, for me, the fossilizers. I thought, like, aside from just like it's a type of Transformer I never thought we would get, I think that's brought along some of the craziest combinations and some of the coolest looking things. I'm still like really kind of waiting for all those to come out in a multi-pack where all of them are just one universal color. In retail, they all had different colorations to them, so you couldn't make like a unified thing without looking a little bit odd. So yeah, I would love that. Whooper and Quagsire, they're okay. It's kind of a dopey looking Pokemon. Don't have anything against it, but, you know, not one, unless I really need a ground water type, I wouldn't use a Quagsire. And Clodsire is kind of the same. It's just, he's a dopey boy, and, he's fine. What mold would be best for a new G1 Nightbird? Oh, if we're just retooling? I mean, I hate to say it, but it probably is an RC. It probably is an RC. Probably a bike RC, honestly. Like a Transformers Prime RC. Somewhere in that vein. Not the current one. Not the current one. Like proper Prime RC. Is there any Transformers series or toy line that you love that no one else seems to like or know about? I think most are in the know about what lines are out there. You know, I can say Cybertron. People know Cybertron. There's not too many, like, obscure, like super obscure toy lines or super obscure shows that people are generally not going to know. Either you know Transformers and you know them all, or you've heard of them and all, or you're completely novice and you just know that there's a cartoon in the 80s. Offhand, like, I really don't know of anything that's just that obscure that would actually really fit in with that. Yeah, I'm kind of having trouble. What figure was the perfect figure in your opinion? So, yeah, RuneScape nailed it. My favorite toy of all time is Cybertron Optimus Prime. I will say this. There is no such thing as a perfect figure. I love Cybertron Optimus Prime. I will acknowledge it has flaws. It has things that could be done better. I don't think perfect exists. I think looking for perfection and expecting perfection out of toys is a lot of reason why so many are unhappy with the toys they get. So this, yeah, I don't think it really is perfect. I don't think a perfect figure exists out there. Which era of Chug do you prefer overall? 2013. Hang on, let me just say. Yeah, I thought I skipped something for a second. 2013, 2017, or 2018 till now. That is hard. Honestly, if I have to pick, I hate the term chug, by the way. I've always hated that term. Honestly, I think I prefer what we're getting now because, like, from Combiner Wars to today, everything is kind of uniform and makes sense with each other. You know, when you get into, like, Universe 2, you're getting into, like, really, like, out there different ones. You get a weird Dinobot alongside a weird Hot Shot. You're getting a really good Cyclonus and a really lame Ironhide. And then, when you start moving on from there into like the early generations releases, you get one brain, you get one brainstorm. That's it for your headmasters. You get Rhinox and Rat Trap. You don't get other Beast Wars characters in this toy line. Maybe wait till the next toy line. We might throw one or two in. I like now that there seems to be a focus. I like the modern toys that have focus and attention on making it all make sense within itself. I like knowing that if they do one of the headmasters, they are going to do all of the headmasters. If they're going to do one maximal, they're going to do all the main maximals. There's a confidence there in what we are getting now that I wasn't getting in the early era of generations, whether it's classics or whatnot. I think we just have a much more consistency today. And also, like, Hasbro's getting super weird with what they'll release, and I think that's really good too. Let's see. Hang on. Alright, what do you think is the character with the most amount of unrealized potential, and why cannot be counter-punch? Why you people give me so many exceptions that I can't answer easily and just move on? Honestly, because we can use her, I feel like it's Crasher. We can use Crasher as a repaint and a retool of Mirage. And I would love to see her incorporated more because she represents not only like the last vestiges of the one thing that ever competed with Transformers back in the day, but also I really feel like can be a unique presence. You know, she's a berserker, which is not something you normally get out of Transformers in general. I feel like she is the type of character who would I feel like she would exist in the Decepticon ranks to knock Starscream around for Megatron's amusement. But there's a lot. There's a lot of characters who are just one-offs that just never had a chance. But offhand, I think Crasher would be great to use. And we are at the bottom of the list now. Ben gets the last one. Would you be interested in doing a tier list video on the Masterpiece Transformers released thus far? That's a lot. Even if we kept it down to just the individual molds that exist, that would be a lot more for a tier list than I would think I would be capable of. I'd like to keep tier lists somewhere around the 30 mark. Anything beyond that would take a long time to get through. Also, it would not be a very informed one because I rarely buy Masterpiece anymore. I've never bought Masterpiece movie, certainly haven't bought the trains, so I would be coming from an extremely uninformed opinion over those. It'd basically be asking me to judge which ones are best by how they look in photos. And that's not really a good opinion to have. So, unfortunately, no. I just don't have enough experience with Masterpiece these days. So, that will do it. All right. So, about 1 hour 20. Okay. That's about as long as I was fearing that would take. If you made it all the way through, thank you very much. I do appreciate those. You just kept me on in the background and let me ramble all this time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. Again, if you have a question yourself, leave it in the comments below. We will get to it at the first of the next month. Please keep it to something that is comfortable to be aired on YouTube. And keep it to something that, please keep it to just one question a person. Keep it fair for everybody so we can kind of get through and make sure everyone's question gets answered. If you overload it with stacking question, I'm going to have to just start being picky about the list. I don't want to do that. I want to be able to answer everybody. One per person. So please stick to it this time. I am enforcing it now. But thank you. Thank you everyone who asked. Thank you for everyone who watched this far. I'm going to bed now. I will see you next time.
I'm like, I think you guys got this. I will back away, and I will see you all later.
You've got this handled.
Alafi's like, really? You're not gonna help me? Like, it's fine now.
It's like these disgusting creatures breathing down my neck, and you're all just like, I believe in you. You got this.
All right, you seem to have this. 5 minutes.